There's so much to say about the river. It's impossible to just do it off the cuff on a video like this, because I could write pages and pages and pages about the extraordinary nature of the River Esk. She flows down. There goes one of the great river birds. There's peewits and birds flying all around while I'm doing this, but the river flows out to Whitby. Of course, it's the only Yorkshire river that actually flows directly into the North Sea, and its estuary is of course at Whitby Harbour, and that is how the fish arrive from Alaska, the great salmon, and they swim up the river. If they're not netted by the fishermen these days, you know, the numbers have dwindled greatly because climate change and the fishing and various other conditions we know about. But the estuary has provided this extraordinary harbour, which has made Whitby so famous, where all the great ships were built, where Captain Cook set sail to discover Australia, where they brought those great leviathans of the sea back from the Arctic, the whales that they would process in Whitby, where they would burn the blubber to melt it down to make oil for the street lamps and for other purposes. I mean, the harbour of Whitby is a whole other story, a rich, rich story. But of course, all provided by the waters of the Esk flowing down into this beautiful estuary that goes out into the North Sea. I will probably do another whole talk about Whitby Harbour, but she starts as these little tiny streams up at Westerdale on one of the highest points of the Yorkshire Moors, and her journey through each village, and each village in the valley is on the edge of the river, and the river comes down and down and down, and so the village life and the culture and the communities are so very much sustained by the waters of the Eska River. I also have seen this river in full spate, and she is a ferocious elemental being. I know the fords over these rivers are very dangerous. People have been swept away as recently as last year. People don't realise the force of this water when it gets going. Of course, right now it's so low and so gentle, and the sound of the water coming over the rocks is really music. But you can hear sometimes on a winter's night, you can hear it roaring when it's really full. And of course, it sometimes floods the whole harbour area at Whitby, especially when we get the high spring tides and the incoming tide meets the outcoming river water. Sometimes you can stand on the cliffs and see the stream of the Esk coming out into the sea because it's such a different colour. But I will carry on with this story about the penny hedge.